30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Is there anybody out there that wants to roll? And is there anybody out there that wants to boogie? Tonight, live from the Apollo, Glasgow.
Well, if you're looking for trouble, I'm the man to see. If you're looking for satisfaction, the satisfaction guaranteed. I'm as cool as a body on ice. Out to them the rolling dice. Send you to heaven, or take you to hell.
Welcome to Glasgow Apollo Live with Scott and Andy.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Glasgow Apollo Live with me, Scott MacArthur.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome. My name's Andy Muir.
Nice to be back,
From
folks.
the outside broadcast.
Yeah, that looks good. You're doing the wee lane this week, aren't you?
I'm down a backyard.
Yeah. So it's been touch and go this week because I've been getting my house rewired and things keep going pop and my laptop's going bzzz, bzzz. So, and Andy's, the place where Andy's living what's happened is getting redecorated or something, is it?
Repainted.
Repainted,
Yeah.
oh gosh.
So there's no inside facilities available.
You're lucky you live in Australia, mate. Try to hear it's peeing it down. So, thanks for tuning in. If it's the first time you're here, please make sure you stick your name and where you're tuning in from, what part of the world you're in. We've been consistently getting 4 or 5 countries every week, so that's really nice. If you are using the Facebook group for the first time, you'll probably have seen, if you saw the little bit at the start there, the stinger at the start, there's a little bit of code you have to put in for your name to come up, and it's a bit inconsistent. So if you do post something and your name doesn't come up, but you've done it before, do it again, because we can't control it. It's to do with Facebook's tech. So if you could type in chatrestream.io/FB, that'll mean that your name will come up in the chat. So let's see who's in, mate, will we? Let's see who's all in here. Oh God, there's a lot of folk tonight. My goodness.
Boots.
What's going on here?
Boots is here.
Yeah. Ian, the guys, good to be on time. Who else are you? Thanks for tuning in. I'll not call out of this like the climate change delegates in Glasgow. This is a Friday must. Thank you. Me too. I don't know if I do without this now. It's beginning to be a bit. It's a must have. What's Boots saying about it this week? Evening, Scott and Dr. Muir. There you go, Dr. Muir.
Nice call me doctor, but that's fine.
Well, Boots has had influence on me this week. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But rewire at my house too. Really, John? Oh dear, it's awful, isn't it? I mean, it's just, oh God. It's not a joyous thing to do at all. And Tony's here as well. Hello, Tony. Thanks for coming back again, mate. Couldn't put you off last week. Barry's here. Hello, Barry. Even guys eventually got the COVID's Baza. Scott's cough. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry, Barry.
Look after yourself, Barry. Just drink lots of Guinness. It worked for me. So
is that when you away in England?
And I seem to have.
London.
Look who else is in. My one of my boys is in using Samantha's account. Hi, Daddy. If you see this is amazing. Hi, Bertie. How you doing?
Hello, Bertie.
Yeah, and good evening from a rain-swept tatty town. So there we go. And John, hi John, in bed watching the England game. Come on, Albania.
All right.
Now,
Okay.
are we allowed
you
to?
can-
Are we
you
allowed
can-
to say what
you
the
can
Scotland
tell me the
result was?
score. You can tell me the score, mate. I haven't watched it, but yeah.
Scotland won.
Uh-huh.
We
Right.
won.
Against Moldova, was it?
Yeah, and they actually
Right.
played really well, and they
And
won 2-0, but it should have been 7 or 8.
2-0.
But they played really well, and there was no. They got a pen. I'll not tell you what happens. I'm not. You can watch the
All right. I'll watch
specifics.
the highlights.
Aye, but yeah. Needless to say, the best man in the park was a Jambo once again. Anyway, let's move on. So what you been listening to this week?
What have I been listening to? Oh, I have been listening to Queen.
Aye,
Queen. I listened to Linda Ronstadt last night. I listened
Really?
to some Rainbow.
oh aye,
I listened to some Thin Lizzy, Judas Priest. I listened to their just too early again. Some
Yeah.
Skids, some Triumph, lots of stuff.
you're
Deal.
just reading off the list of gigs, aren't you? That's all you're doing. You're just
Well,
reading off.
I go through that list and then hold on. I go through that list and that's what I listen to.
All right, okay.
Sadly.
Well, I was trying to
And
be
Meatloaf.
open-minded.
And I think I listened to Meatloaf. I think.
Can't go wrong with that.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, I've been trying to be open-minded again. It doesn't work. But Boots was regaling the gig the Ramones played at the Apollo. So I thought, come on then. So I listened to the Ramones, and they're all right. You know, it's kind of it all sounds like that. That's at the Apollo. No, no. Better.
Super loud.
Oh, that's romantic. It's not working. Anyway, that's the Ramones. And I thought it was all right. You know, I kind of, I quite, they're just shouty, you know.
Yeah.
But Boots was regaling them, so I thought I'd listen. So yeah, I quite enjoyed them actually. They're good fun.
I listened to a podcast this week with one of the members of Talking Heads,
Oh, aye.
and there was a day in the 70s when the Talking Heads, the Ramones, Television, and Blondie all played in Glasgow on the same night, and they were all sort of not featured, but they were prominent in CBGB's punks.
Yeah.
So, and then the guy said, "Oh, what was it like that night?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know about because he was Talking Heads and Ramones played, I think, at Strathclyde Uni."
Yeah.
And Blondie and Television and Blondie played at the Apollo, and he said that he goes, "Well, I don't know about their gig, but our gig was great, and the party afterwards was excellent."
You can just imagine.
Yeah.
You can just imagine. But
That'd be
Jordan
great.
Brennan's saying he saw the Ramones rocket to Russia at the Apollo. I was there. He was there. So that's
right.
good. It's a good recording. That I mean, there's some. We haven't played much of it on the show because it's got an official release. So quite often they kick us off if we play these things. But they had to go tonight. Didn't play very much. But wait and see. We'll get kicked off. That'll be the next thing. So yeah, listen to the Ramones. Which was good. And I've been listening a lot to, as you know, I've been listening a lot of Richard Hell, and I finished his book, which I really enjoyed actually. There's a couple of interviews I found online about him, and to be honest, he's gone over the edge a wee bit. His speech is a bit slurry, and I don't think he's well. But anyway, let's listen to him. And then because of events not so nice when we heard that Astra had died from UB40. I listened to a bit of UB40, and I remember them being like a top of the pops act. You know, I never really,
Yeah.
you know,
No, good band.
they're pretty good actually. You know, and so I really enjoyed that. And one of my very minor claims to fame was when I once I did a gig in Birmingham, and I actually spoke at the pub on the same stage that UB40 did their first ever gig. So yeah, but yeah, it's a shame, and they were a good band. Well, they still are a good band, I think. And I never really get into them. I thought they were just a pop band, you know, a sort of reggae pop band. I never really listened to much of their music, but I was wrong. They're a good band.
Well, they're
Good outfit.
political.
Yeah,
Political
yeah.
band.
exactly.
1 in 10.
Exactly.
Brilliant song.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good song. Very good song.
Yeah.
So, well, we go right into who played this week, I think, mate, because there's quite a
Sure.
lot to get through this week. So let's just have a wee look.
Bang on. Crack on.
Are you ready? Because you've got a lot to do again this week.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Get on. Good evening, pop pickers. Right.
Well,
I'm going to say it every week.
just before we jump into this, Andy and I have been talking about this, and some, there are weeks when there are, is it 70 or something gigs? Was that the most?
Yeah, most is 66 or something. 66.
So you're talking upwards of 65, 70 gigs, and I think we've had a chat, and I think what we'll do, if everybody's okay, we'll probably start doing a gig of the week. We'll still show all the gigs, but we'll slim it down a wee bit and go into a bit more detail about the gig of the week. So we'll start doing that. Not just now. We'll probably do it in the new year, because we're thinking of other things to do as well. Because once we've been through the whole cycle once, we don't want to repeat it. So we want to do something different next year, and that'll be one of the things we do. But for now, it's over to you, Mr. Muir. What happened this week in the history of the Apollo?
Okay, the Greens. Well, the Choral and Orchestral Union of Glasgow played Sunday, November the 9th, 1947. I don't know if many people alive would still be, maybe if you are like 3 or 4, anyway, or 90, you might have gone to that. They later became the Scottish Orchestra, I think. The Who played November the 9th, 1971. I did listen to The Who this week. This album for this tour, good album. Who's next? Was it? Someone will tell me. Come on, chat, tell me. Fairport Convention. That was that concept album that I wrote about the other week there. About Babacom. Yeah, about a accused murderer who. Anyway, it was quite fun. Not fun. It was quite. Entertaining. It was an entertaining album. It wasn't fun. It was an entertaining album. I'd never really listened to Fairport Convention, and it was a bit of an introduction to them. I don't think the lady singer, oh man, totally losing my mind now. I should take notes. Was there. So that was a Friday, November the 12th, 1971. Alice Cooper and the Fluorescent Leech and Eddie, otherwise known as Flo and Eddie, they played Friday, November the 10th, 1971. This was the only gig that they played. Alice Cooper played in the UK this year, or that tour. I think I listened to him from a gig in Paris like 2 days later, because I couldn't find an Apollo recording. I think he might have had a couple of beers or shots or whiskies or something when I saw them. But I read the review. Derek, ever helpful Derek, posted a review on the Facebook group, and I'd read another one, and it said that it was a really amazing gig. I should have got a little quote from it, but the guy basically said, it was a brilliant gig. He wasn't expecting much, because it was a cold November night. And he'd been late for the plane, or the train had been late, and he was like struggling to get there on time. But he said it was the crowd made the gig. Actually, that's what it was. The crowd were going mental, and they were all quiet in the execution scene. And I don't know if that's a pantomime. They understood the drama and the pantomime of it.
Yes.
So.
Oh no,
he dies when he gets killed, and I was kind of he said they all gasped in the right places and everything.
Yeah.
No one clapped when he died, and it was all a bit very tense. But then said it was great. Anyway, so that was Friday, November the 10th, 1972. Good gig. Neil Young with Crazy Horse and the Eagles supported with support from the Eagles on November the 9th and November the 8th, 1973. It's a bit weird being outside doing this stuff. I'm out of my comfort zone. Is that the gig where they filmed him outside the central station?
I think so.
Yeah, so that would have been good. I think the Eagles were playing basically just played perfect rock and roll music, and Neil Young probably didn't play perfect rock and roll music, because he's known for his idiosyncratic singing style.
You should be a politician.
It is. Now, let me just say this. I think what you're trying to say, Fairport Convention, and maybe it's this tour, maybe it was this one that they did the Babacom thing. But anyway, they played Sunday, November the 11th, 1973. I'm just going to turn my brightness up because I can't see the screen. Tom Paxton played November the 7th, 1974. Sorry, Tom, I didn't get around to listening to you. But I'm sure you were great. Queen, Hustler, and maybe Sailor played on Friday, November the 8th, 1974. I listened to this Queen album. I like it. Sheer Heart Attack is a brilliant album. There's a couple of derogatory statements about Queen on the post that I did.
I saw that.
What's the point of that?
It's 50 years ago.
I know. Just enjoy your night, mate.
Yeah. The bass was out of tune. I'm telling you, the
night.
bass was out of tune. I'm sure the bass was out of tune.
Yeah. Just scroll on. Anyway, I enjoyed the album, and I'm pretty sure that's recorded as well. Some Queen aficionados will tell me that's a good recording. Have you seen Queen bootleg reviews? They get very technical.
I've noticed there's a sort of a real cult of them, isn't there? There's a few guys.
Get like, oh, I'm sorry, I think you're wrong there. I think Freddie did the C sharp in.
Yes, I saw that.
He
Yeah,
did the B7 or whatever. I don't know what.
There was one. There literally was one. The guy had time stamped it. You know, this Freddie went for the note but didn't get it. But 3 weeks later, the amateur he got it. You know, it's quite bizarre.
Yeah.
Quite bizarre.
It's good. It's fun. It's good to people. I mean, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Anyway, so
no stones.
yeah. But yeah, it's great fun. It's great fun for him. Hustler, I didn't listen to Hustler, and I'm pretty sure I definitely didn't listen to Sailor. Sorry, Sailor. I thought it was funny though that Queen and Sailor and Hustler all were maybe, just I felt a bit weird.
Yes.
I just kept going, hello, Sailor. I don't know, it was coming up a bit. Going in there.
There's always one
in my head. In my head. I was going, hello, Sailor. Anyway, Jethro Tull and Jethro Tull and Fanny supported, played each other. What am I talking about? Jethro Tull and Fanny played.
This is not going to end well tonight.
Tuesday. I know. I don't know what it is. 11th and 12th of November.
It's all the fresh air.
We've been on this 20 minutes and we've done this. So I don't know about Fanny. Steady boots.
I never said anything.
Easy.
Never said anything.
Easy.
They were a good band, and there's some good pictures of them on the Facebook group. Was it Susie Quattro's sister or something? It was something like that. It wasn't that, but it was something like that.
Maybe.
Somebody will tell us, but I remember that. But that had been a good gig. That, and Jethro Tull went through a real hot sort of seam of music back in the 70s. Yeah, they really did well.
Well, they were doing that. Well, that was when they were doing massive business.
Along, my friend. Yeah, brilliant.
Ray Stevens. I don't know who Ray Stevens is actually. Played November the 6th, 1975. Who are you, Ray? Come on, chat. Can you tell us who he is? I should have looked him up. I just thought he might be a snooker player or something. I don't know. Just sounds like he should.
He's an American. We've had him on before. He's a country and western guy, I think.
Oh, is he? All right.
I think he's one of them
types. They go down well in Glasgow. They love the country western there. The Four Tops played November the 10th, 1975. My research this week was awful. Sorry, people.
Sounds like it.
I know. Sorry. It's been disrupted.
Got your back. Come on, keep going.
Yeah. Tom Paxton again.
Yeah.
He wrote us an email and said
He did. Yes.
he said he had a
I
good
can't
time,
remember what it said though.
no, he said he had a good time, but I think he had to pay to play. It cost him a lot of money. I think that was him.
Really?
It cost him a lot of money to do the gigs. Well, to fork out and go do the travelling. That. Linda Ronstadt played November the 10th, 1976, with support from Andrew Gold. He wrote a couple of songs for her album of this tour. I've just forgotten the name of the album. Oh my god, that's so bad. Where's your notes when you need them? But I listened to that album. She's great. I love her. She's a really good singer.
Yes.
And gorgeous girl. Not that I had much of a crush on her now or then. I didn't have one then, but I've certainly got one now. Yes, and Donovan played 2 nights, Sunday, November. Oh, they played 3 nights, but I think it might have been 4. There's a bit of contention about this night. November the 6th, 7th, and 8th in 1977. Oh, a wee bit of yes going on there. Is this a new feature, a restream where you can do
This is
stuff
the
in?
things I'm learning, mate. This is yes on the
All right,
Apollo
okay.
stage in 1977. Okay. I had to turn the volume down because it's so twiddly that I couldn't even cope with it.
Oh, okay.
It's like they're in peak twiddle.
Twiddle-tastic. I noticed on the
like
picture. I noticed in the picture from that gig that they had kettle drums in the front.
Aye.
I'm not sure they used them though because they were down the bottom stage.
Yes.
So I don't know what Donovan was doing with Yes, but pretty sure they must have liked them to have them on the tour. Mm-hmm. Rainbow played. This was a Rainbow Rising tour. That was 1977, November 9th, 1977. I listened to this album, brilliant album, but they didn't play. I looked at the set list. They didn't play much from the album.
Really?
So nah, not much. Not many songs from the album. Have a look at the set list. They didn't play much.
That'll be Richie Blackhead doing his thing again.
Well, it said that I saw some posts on when I put I think it might have been Derek that put the picture up of the ticket and stuff, that he just got divorced that day or the day before, so he wasn't his right frame of mind, which probably was a bit cranky normally.
Can you imagine it?
Imagine if you're in a good mood.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, I did read a thing where he said that he enjoyed his reputation for being cranky, so he probably played up to it a lot. And the support was from Kingfish, who I think had some Grateful Dead members in there.
So they gave out sleeping bags and marijuana.
Yeah, well, they might have rocked it up a bit for this too. Graham Parker and the Rumour, supported by Clover, played November the 10th, 1977. Now that's a funny gig because I've listened to Thin Lizzy live, and the guy from Graham, the harmonica player from Thin Lizzy, from Graham Parker in the Rumour, comes on and does some harmonica.
Right.
But when they toured with Clover, Huey Lewis came on and played. Yeah. Yeah, that's cute. I think that's pretty funny. I don't know. Just a bit of a thing. The Runaways played November the 11th, 1977, and they were supported by 999.
That's quite an odd combination as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's American pop rock with a punk band.
But a sort of punky band.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they enjoyed each other's
I bet they did.
company.
I think Joan Jett's a force of nature. I think she's absolutely amazing. She's terrific.
Yeah. Oh, well, was Lita Ford in the Runaways?
She was. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were,
mental.
And they were all like under 22 or something.
Oh, the big kids, yeah.
Yeah.
But, Joan Jett's still, she's a monster. I mean, she's an absolute professional. She's one of these, she gets, she's really into the music big time. She's a bit of a savant with rock music as well, mate.
Oh, is she?
She's
Oh,
something else. Yeah, she's really, really cool. Yeah.
cool. She's still got that shock of black hair.
She has, but she looks a bit different at the moment. I saw she
Right.
was playing live. She did a gig. I think it was in New York because I think she's in New York, isn't she? I don't quote me on that, but she did a gig in a park recently, and she's obviously been enjoying the food during the lockdown because she doesn't look like herself. But she said she's just
Hey.
no, she's like mom, same, But it's just she said she was really bored and she just sat and drank beer. Not
Oh,
a
cool.
thing to do. Not a bad thing to do.
Not a bad thing to do.
She's
That's
so
good.
dedicated. I think she's amazing. I think she's a force of nature. She really is.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, she's good at what she does.
Yeah, she is for sure.
Straightforward rock and roll. Thin Lizzy, and I've got the Radiators here, but it's the Radiators from space. The Radiators are a nosy band. Thin Lizzy, that was a Bad Reputation tour. I was listening to that just before it came on. Brilliant album. What?
I'm just laughing at Chubby Runaway. Oh dear. I wish I hadn't said that now.
Yeah.
She was talking
Who
about
said
herself. I
that?
was actually quoting her. But anyway, I'm sorry. It's quite funny.
Who said that? Boots? Some
No,
cheeky
it's Facebook user. It's not Boots because he always has Boots after his name. I'll find it.
it's McAvee, I bet you.
That's definitely funny. That's terribly
Yeah,
unprofessional.
so that Thin Lizzy album, Bad Reputation.
Yeah,
Well, it's a brilliant album.
that's great, man.
Brilliant. It's a good thing in Classic Rock about it last week, I think, or the week before. Good big long article about that and how they were all getting a bit cranky with each other, I think.
Yeah,
I think Brian Robertson had
he's a bit of a lad, Brian Robertson.
done something to annoy Phil, and Phil had done something. Yeah, anyway, but they came out with a great album. I think they recorded all this stuff. He recorded all this stuff when they weren't there, sort of thing. Anyway, someone will tell me that I'm wrong. This Judas Priest album, so that was on November the 12th, 1977.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been great.
Yeah.
You lucky buggers who went to see that. November the 8th, 1978, Judas Priest, supported by Lee Hart. I had a wee listen to Lee Hart. Rock and roller, rock music. He's a good guitarist, I think. Judas Priest. This was the album with, what was it called? Do you know what this one was called? I've forgotten. It had Green Man Alicia on it. I know that much.
1978.
Yeah.
British Steel.
Nope. It was called Hellbent for Leather in America.
Right.
I know that, but it was called something else here.
Stained Glass. Was it?
Okay.
I think it might have been. I mean, I used to know all these off by heart, but I'm afraid my brain's gone now. I just kind of remember this.
Eddie, and so I did listen to that album. I thought it was pretty good. And I was listening to it and I was going, oh man, Axl Rose must have had to listen to this because it's a fair bit like there's a lot of Axl Rose and no, I'm not going to say that. Axl Rose sounds a bit like Rob Halford sometimes.
Aye, he tries.
And he tries. Yeah. He's a good singer.
He is a
Rose
good
singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eddie and the Hot Rods played November the 10th, 1978. Sorry, Eddie and the Hot Rods, but I'm gonna have an investigation of the Eddie and the Hot Rods. Were they a sort of pub rock band? Was that?
Yeah.
Were they a new? What's that? New wave? Were they new wavy? Yeah, maybe.
Wasn't a mass sort of sound.
No. The Skids and Fingerprints played November the 10th, 1979. That would have been a good gig.
Yeah.
I think I hadn't. When was that? 79. So maybe I'd bought my first Skid single at Adams down the high street. Then I did. That's where I bought my singles, mate. I couldn't buy them anywhere else. Gallagher and Lyle and Judy Zook played on November the 10th, 1979. That would have been a great gig. Well, I think it would have been a great gig. They're a good band,
Yeah.
and Judy Zook would have been a good support, I think.
She's. I mean, I saw her.
Yeah.
I saw her at the Playhouse. She was kind of.
Yeah.
It was like, when you get an espresso double shot. Well, she's like
yeah.
an espresso single shot. It was kind of like. I mean, Stay With Me Till Dawn was beautiful, and she did a few other really nice songs, but she didn't have any. There was no to her. There was.
Well, that's
maybe
her
she had a bad
style.
night. I only saw her one night, but
That was her. She was
very
gentle.
relaxed.
Gentle.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of videos of her a month or two ago, and she was in with two other lady singers from the era, and they were doing a sort of 3-part harmony sort of stuff. It was really nice. That's recently though. She was and it was great. Julia Fordham, I think, was the other.
Oh
lady.
yes, yeah.
And I've forgotten the other lady's name, but they were really good. The Buzzcocks and the Things played November the 6th, 1980. Sorry, the Things, I didn't get to listen to you. I've heard the Buzzcocks and I quite like them, but I wish more people would be posting stuff about the Buzzcocks on the group, because I'm pretty sure they're popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good band, actually. Good band.
Good pop punk. Good band.
Pop punk, yeah.
Good pop punk. OMD and the Fatal Charm played November the 10th, 1980. Well, that would have been a good gig if you like OMD, and I didn't listen to the Fatal Charm.
He was nice to us though when we set the website up.
He was
nice. Very nice.
He was nice.
Aye.
I actually meant to, that thing I did with Bobby Gillespie.
Yeah.
Last week with the clip of him saying there was one. I thought it'd be too nerdy for me to do another one about. He's talking about the Apollo, and it's basically much the same as what he said on the thing he said to us.
Yeah,
he enjoyed it.
I remember speaking to him, and he was a really genuine guy, mate. He was a really nice fella.
Yeah,
nice fella.
Yeah, nice guy. So if you're liking OMD, I think they've started another tour recently. I'm not sure.
I think they have. They have.
Or they've either tour now or they're just touring later. Pretty soon. Triumph and Dead Ringer played November the 11th, 1980. And Praying Mantis. No Wobbum. Praying Mantis. New wave of British heavy metal for the uninitiated. Triumph. I love Triumph. I think they're a great band.
Should be much bigger than they are.
They should have been really big, but maybe they were sort of under the shadow of Rush, being from Canada.
Yeah, maybe.
And the guy did. I mean, Rick Emmett's a brilliant singer.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And, a great guitarist too.
Yeah.
But they, another one. They should have been bigger. It's a bit of a shame that they weren't. But
I would like to have seen them at the Apollo. I can imagine it'd be very busy, but I think it would have been a brilliant gig because they were just brilliant professional band.
Yeah. Well, I remember a guy I know back in Curlig went to see them, and he was telling me about them a while. It was obviously a long time ago, and he goes, he was up the front and he couldn't see the drummer because the drummer was a singer too.
Yeah.
So he goes, he was wondering who was singing because he hadn't, and he didn't know who sang songs in those days much because he didn't have videos or YouTube or anything. So he just went along. You just go along and you go, oh, who's singing? Because if you were up the front, you'd be like, well, that's a bit weird, no singer. And then he'd come back and he'd have to see the singer. He'd have to move back to see the drummer. Yeah, that was pretty weird. Chris de Burgh played again in 1981.
Move on.
Was that Lady Red style?
Move on.
Was it? Wait,
I don't know.
I did listen to. This is the one I listened to. This was recorded. This
It
show
was.
was
That's right.
recorded
It
for
was. Aye.
River Records.
Yeah.
Records, and it was all right. It was fine.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't. It was all right. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not my thing, but I did listen to it.
Yeah.
It was all right. It was good. It was good to. Yeah, I thought it was all right. Yeah.
Decaffeinated single shot.
A stranger came traveling. Spaceman came traveling.
See, you're dwelling on it rather than moving on. You're dwelling on it. It's going to give me the dry bolt.
That's because you said.
I know.
Move along, sir. Move along. Gillan and Budgie played November the 10th, 1980. Also Nightwing on that tour. You want to talk about that? Because you like Gillan.
I think I said last week, the thing I remember about the Gillan gigs, and I would actually love it as a painting or as a picture, is when he used to come to the very front of the stage with those two big bongos he used to have, and remember he had proper hair, and he used to just play the bongos, and he'd be like some sort of whirling sort of octopus. It was absolutely fantastic, totally iconic. And I remember seeing him in the venue in Edinburgh. His band was called Garth Rocket and the Moonshiners. It was just a name they were practicing, basically. They were just touring under a false name. And he stood there in the venue. You remember the venue? You were there a few times with me. You remember the Thunder gig and stuff. But he's standing at the front of this thing. The bongos nearly got to the roof. They were that tall, great big bongos. And he's standing. It was brilliant. Absolutely just brilliant. I love the guy. It's just, he's a shame that he's kind of, his voice isn't the same as it used to be. But yeah, come on, he's getting on, isn't he? So. But Gillan was fantastic. I loved him. Can't write a song to save himself, but absolutely love the guy. Absolutely love him.
Well, I don't know.
He had the solo albums. Jeez, oh man, Jesus Christ.
Well, I guess his lyrics aren't the deepest, but
no.
What's the one about the? I'm very loud here, mate. Did you turn me up?
No, you're okay. You sound okay to me.
Oh, I'm just getting echo from you.
Oh, yeah? Well, then I'll turn you down a wee bit. You have the same volume as me at the moment. Hold on. I've turned you down a wee bit.
Mutually Assured Destruction. That's a good song.
That's a fantastic song. I mean, there was always like maybe one song in each album, and then he had that little spurt when he had the Gillan band. He had some decent writers in the band. But if you listen to the solo albums, there's a lot of them, and they really aren't very good. I mean, they're really not, and I love the guy, but it's a bit disappointing when you put it on and you think, oh, there's all this Gillan material, and it's like, oh God, it's not special, but the Gillan albums were good. The band Gillan, they were decent albums. All of them, and they slightly ordered diminishing returns on each album, but they were still good. But no, his actual solo stuff, jeez, oh.
Jeez, all right, okay.
Somebody's asking if I heard the Gillan album from the Apollo. I think I've heard the bootleg. I'm not sure if I've heard an album. It's probably the same thing, though, isn't it? The Rescue
It's a River Records, River.
Yeah. So yes, I have, and it's great. It's really good.
I think Budgie were a pretty good rock band, heavy metal.
Yeah.
Did they do the
Bread Fan?
Was they Bread Fan? Yeah.
Yeah, good song. Yeah, good band.
Good band. Nightwing
influenced a lot of bands.
Yeah. Nightwing I've forgotten, but I'm pretty sure that would be new wave of British heavy metal, was it?
I think we've seen them actually. I think we might have saw them at the Heathery or something, but I
don't remember that.
That doesn't mean you weren't there. Come on.
Right enough. I do remember having my head in a bass bin.
I remember that as well.
And Phil Lynott was just there.
He was.
Anyway, just there. OMD again. OMD, supported by Dead Ringer. Not the same Dead Ringer, but another Dead Ringer. November the 11th, 1981. Probably, they would be doing, was that Enola Gay time?
I think so. Yeah. Good song, that.
Yeah. Good song. They're a good band. They are a good band. And Gillan again, supported by Spider. We got the guy from Spider contacted us as well. Said he had a great time at the Apollo,
He did, aye.
and he loved. Well, he loved. I think he just loved Scottish crowds.
Oh, they were brilliant. Though. I mean, they really
yeah.
did.
That's
they were
one
like
band
a
I
triple
did
shot.
see it.
Yeah.
That's one band I did see it. Remember seeing it at the Heathery. Yeah, I remember seeing them there.
Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing them. It might have been there or at the place in Glasgow along Sucky Hill Street.
Or Aberdeen.
No, I don't think I saw them in Aberdeen.
No.
Elton John, 2 nights, November the 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
1982.
That'd be good.
I did listen to that album from that tour. I listened to that album. I think there was maybe one song that I liked on it.
Right.
Sorry, Elton. You can't please everyone all the time.
Nah, he's going to write into the show now and complain that you said you didn't like him.
I said there was one song that I really liked. Did I? Okay. That was all right. It was very poppy though.
Aye. Guff.
But that tour was. I read the tour stats for that. It was enormous. It was 130 something tours.
Yeah, he
130
worked
day
hard.
tour.
Yeah.
And is that the one? And they made an album. Right. So it was 130 odd days they toured. So that's traveling as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they made an album that year as well.
Yeah. And he can't remember any of it.
I know. Crazy.
Yeah.
The Shadows. Sorry, I did listen to the Shadows as well. Guitar. Rock album. I think this was not a rock album, but it was a good album. I think they did Africa on this album. So they generally did covers. There was a couple of songs that Hank Marvin actually sang, which probably shocked. Probably shocked the Shadows faithful.
I bet it did.
They talk. This Dio gig.
Yes.
November the 12th, 1983, supported by Wasted. You were there. I was there.
Yeah.
3,500 other nutters were there.
Good night.
Yeah. That was a great gig. I remember just being totally wanting Wasted to do well because I loved them.
Yeah. They did.
They did.
Aye.
Yeah.
Good band.
And Dio did.
He's just different class.
Excellent. I know. When he comes on the stage and you're like, I was like, that's Rory James Dio. Oh my God. What the hell? What's going on? Yeah. Anyway, it was a good gig. I enjoyed it. I can't say much more about it than that. If you go and find it on YouTube, I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's
the Wasted are certainly on YouTube from that gig, I think.
They are, aye.
Alison Moyet. Sorry, Alison, didn't give you a listen. But
she's just done.
Good. She's
a great singer. Aye. She's just done a tour and she's got a shit hot band and her voice is fantastic. It's even better now than I think it was back then.
Right.
And bloody hell, she's good. If you like that sort of music, it's not my sort of music, but I do really get that she's a good singer. You know, she can really sing. Alison Moyet. Yeah, I think she wrote to us as well back in the day, didn't she? I'm sure she did.
Did she? Oh,
yeah, I think she did.
Maybe you're getting her and Hazel O'Connor mixed up.
No, I don't think so. I might be. You never know.
If Alison Moyet was not around now, but she is around now. But if she was around, if she's starting now, she'd probably be like Adele.
Aye.
I think.
Yeah. That's possible.
Same kind of vibe about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe Alison Moyet's a bit more. I don't know, punk.
Yeah.
Alternative.
She had an edge to it, didn't she? I mean, certainly early on she had that. She got quite vanilla towards the end, but she was certainly, her younger career was pretty good.
No, she's good. I listened to a couple of interviews of her. She's a good lady. Yeah. Clever. Meatloaf played November the 10th, 1984. I'm not sure if this actually went ahead or it was postponed.
Which one?
The Meatloaf gig.
I think I was at it, mate.
You're always at it.
Well, that was good. That was quite quick. Well done. Yeah, I think that was at it.
Yeah.
I think it was. Was that not the
Yeah.
gig with the motorbike?
That's every gig.
No, it's no the big Mac Loaf and the motorbike. I remember that. I think that was
Oh,
that gig.
okay.
It was either that or that was in '85 because I think Meatloaf was the last gig I saw at the Apollo.
Yeah, okay.
In '85, but
I wasn't sure if I went to see him twice or not. Feels like I went to see him twice.
yeah.
Or maybe it's just because the show was so long.
No, you did. You did.
Did I? I must
Yeah,
have.
you did.
Yeah. And Nick Kershaw and Scary Thieves played November the 11th, 1984. I heard Nick Kershaw the other day on the radio.
Yeah, he's still going.
He's quite good. Oh, wouldn't it be good? Good wee rock song, that.
Yeah,
That's a
he
great song.
got quite proggy as well at one point. He writes quite a lot of quite interesting lyrics.
Right.
I'm
Well,
not sure he's a
I
singer.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's many rock bands that don't have a singer as the singer.
That's for sure.
Difficult. Nah, he's a good. He did well for, he's a good singer, but he's anyway. He's not quite my cup of tea now.
What do you call him? A front man, not a singer. Yeah, Billy Dave
He's
Lee
a
Roth.
singer. He is a singer. He
Aye,
is a singer.
well.
I was being disingenuous there. Ian, you're a great singer.
Just in case he's tuning in.
Just in case you're tuning in and you're gonna, mate, you're great. Honestly.
Who's
You've
asking?
done well.
Did Scheme ever play the Apollo? Who's asking that
Yes.
question?
Who's asking that?
Who's asking that question?
Okay.
New member, perhaps. Yes, they did. They were the old.
www.glasgowpolo.com. There's a section on there that'll tell you most of the bands that played there. Sometimes we update it regularly because new bands come and new bands go.
What we should do though is we shouldn't just dismiss it because this is probably a new member, and I think we need to say that.
Sorry.
I mean, Scheme do. Thanks for asking the question. Yes, they did, and the thing that's special about Scheme is that they were the only band to headline the Apollo and sell it out who weren't signed. So they were an unsigned band when they played the Apollo. The ticket's red, isn't it? I remember the ticket. I don't have it to hand, but it was a big deal. And there's a lot of Scheme fans. There are a lot of Scheme fans in the group. They're very popular in the group.
And I think we spoke about them a couple of weeks, a month or two ago, I think.
Yeah.
They did. I think they just played a gig at the Oran Moor, or maybe St Luke's or something in Glasgow.
Aye. Yeah.
Maybe it was St Luke's, but I watched the video of that. They're going well, doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
Good on them.
I think there's a couple of them have died actually. I think there's a few of them have passed on. There you go, so, Facebook user. There's the gig. 1984. Yeah. Scheme. Played the Glasgow Apollo.
Yeah.
Now, there's quite a lot of comments that we've jumped over. Can I just go back and grab a few of them?
Yeah.
No, it's not your fault. They were coming in thick and fast. Mac's in. Hello, Mac. How you doing? From the States. We were talking about Rainbow, and it was the Long Live Rock and Roll album tour, Not Rising. Oh, right, here you go. And I believe Graham because he knows his Rainbow and his Deep Purple. And Only Kill the King and the title track were played live on this tour. Rainbow played an average 7 or 8 songs each gig, most with either drum, guitar, or keyboard solos. I would have hated to see them at that point. They just went over the top, and whilst I don't think there was any link between punk and this sort of thing, as some punks seem to remember, which isn't true, I don't think. But they went crap for a wee while, but. Rising was certainly an absolutely amazing album. Let's just see if there's anything else I missed. Here's someone been listening to Joan Jett and Lita Ford yesterday in the car. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely, John. She really is amazing. I've got a load of time for her. There's a chapter in Dave Grohl's autobiography, Storyteller, all about Joan Jett, and he went weak at the knees when he met her. He couldn't believe.
Mate, who was that?
Dave Grohl from the Foos and Nirvana his autobiography, and there's a chapter all about her, and she comes to the house and they do a song together, they write a song together, and he was totally in awe of her. I mean, he's in awe of everybody. He's quite he likes famous musicians, but she was something else. She really was something else. Here's Eddie and the Hot Rods. This is Dave saying Eddie and the Hot Rods' biggest hit was Do Anything You Want to Do. Oh, I remember that song.
Yeah,
not bad. It was to
pub rock.
Pub rock. Yeah, that's right. and they're still touring without Barry. Here's Tony saying about the Triumph gig. That was the biggest show I saw at the Apollo Blinding Lights show, and met the band backstage after the gig. You lucky so-and-so. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to have met them. Are they still going, Tony? I'm not 100% sure if they are, but
Who?
still
Triumph?
Triumph.
No, they're not going. No, but
No,
Rick Emmett still does.
Rick Emmett's still
gigs.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tony's asking, was it the Magic Tour? No, it wasn't. The Magic Tour was 83 or 84, I think, because I remember that. My first ever gig was 81, and I saw Gill 81, yeah. And Gillan was towards the end, and that was the Magic. So I reckon somebody look it up, but it was 83, 84, 85 even, but it wasn't that gig. I do remember the Topless Ladies. Quite enjoyed that.
Why would you remember that?
Well, I don't know. It's just a fluke, mate. There's some
Right,
dendrite
okay.
in my brain just formed that moment, and it just makes me remember
Right.
it. I don't know why. Cheryl's saying, I have to agree, Scott. Alison Moy is a beautiful singer. She is. She's magic. She's really good. I think she's getting better. Honestly, I think she's better now than she was back then. Sadly, even Alice Cooper's version was far superior to Gillan's Diary. To what is Gillan doing again? Is this Boots again? Is it? It sounds like Boots.
What version of what?
Is it 7 to 7, or there was a?
Oh, right, okay.
I can't remember the song. It's something like that. I can't remember it. It was absolutely awful. Really awful. Ian Gillan try to do these songs. It doesn't work.
Okay.
It's a bit like who's Neil Diamond, right? Almost impossible to cover his songs. He does all. He's so unique that doesn't make sense. He's unique, and because of that, he's very difficult to cover. And people try and sing his songs, and they're terrible. Gillan can hardly sing any songs, that unless it's his own band. Because I've heard them try to do stuff, and it's just like, what's he doing? Anyway, it's not Ian Gillan. I love the guy, but he's not good at that sort of. Oh, there's Bond saying Magic was 82. Right, there you go. So I got it right, but I did keep my options open. And as far as I know, Willie Potts played in some Scheme tracks. Did he?
Oh, did he? Oh.
Didn't he know that? He's kept that secret.
Him.
Yeah, that's very good.
Ask him.
So thanks, folks. That's brilliant engagement there. There's a load of good bands, and well done, mate. That was amazing as always. And there's a load of good gigs there, loads and loads of good gigs, and there's a lot I'd like.
Gigs. I feel
too many.
I feel. I think I spoke to you when I said it. I feel bad that I've not listened to every band, but it's a lot of bands, man.
It's a lot of bands. I mean, I know you just lie around and do nothing all day, but I mean, even if you listen to a track from each band, you still wouldn't have it done.
Yeah. Well,
if Yes were on 3 times, that would take you a week. Just to listen to 3 songs by Yes. So no, I don't. I guess you have a break. So thanks, folks. That's brilliant. I really enjoyed that actually. Let's have a look at what else now. What will we do now? I think what we should do is just have think about what happened to the socials, because you got your book about the socials. Well done. Is that organised? Yeah. So what's been going on this week? It seemed to have been busy again.
Oh yeah, it was very busy, but Facebook's changed its
I noticed.
Stats. It's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
It threw me for a bit. I was like, "What? I can't find my figures here." But there was maybe 57. I don't know if there's any overnight, but there's 57 new members. Thank you for joining. We've got 10,338 members.
Amazing.
We've got this new thing on the Facebook stats. It said that 1,028 people posted stuff,
Gosh.
and it said that 28,500 people viewed posts over the last week.
Wonder how they know that.
I don't know how they know that, but they did. That's what they said.
Right.
So there's been some good.
That's incredible.
Good. I don't know how that happens. Their figures were way off from what I was looking at. But anyway, they must know what they're doing. So, thank you very much for joining and
Absolutely.
Contributing and posting. I was liking that there was more people this week posting the memories, more
Yeah.
tickets getting posted and stuff. That was good, and more memories. It wasn't just the. I mean, it wasn't just the usual me and Derek
Yes.
posting stuff. Oh, Derek's been really good. This Derek McAdam, thank you very
Some
much,
great
Derek.
stuff.
You've been very good this week.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. He does great. Keeps me up to speed about stuff as well.
Yes.
Yeah, good man.
So thanks everyone for that. It was good. And I want to just break slightly with tradition here. I'm going to play a piece of music now because it seems to be appropriate. One of the gigs that it wasn't this week, but it came up a lot in the group because of what Derek was posting, and it was the classic Mott the Hoople gig supported by Queen. And
Oh yeah,
this is actually the Queen set list is available on YouTube. There's actually quite a decent recording of it. So I've actually got a snippet of it. So I'm going to play that because I think it's worth listening to. And you can hear how the band changed between then and when they finally ended, 20 years later. But it's a rollicking recording. If you've not heard it, folks, it's if you go into our Facebook, not Facebook, our YouTube site and have a look on there. There's the address on the screen. It's just youtube.com/Glasgow Polo Live. You can listen to the whole thing. And apparently there's one track missing from the gig that they did. I can't remember which one it is, but there's one track missing. But I'd quite like to play this now because I think it's pretty good. And I think it captures Queen really, really visceral and something that they didn't achieve in that bloody film they made about them. This was one rock band, quite an outfit. So here's Queen supporting Mott the Hoople at the Glasgow Apollo.
Woo!
bloody brilliant. When that
I've
brilliant,
never heard that, man.
really raw, and the guitar playing was he hadn't quite got that sound, had he? He was still quite early in his guitar playing, and he was really, really raw. I love it. I think it's brilliant. And the whole set's like that. It's a really good set. And it's again, if you go to the YouTube channel, I've posted it at the top of the YouTube channel because it's a great gig. And I listen, it's only 30 minutes long, I think. And it is all really loud. You know, it's not as polished as Queen became, but I love it. I just love how raw it is. So great gig. And I see a few of the guys were at that. They're saying it was one of the best gigs I've ever been at. But yeah, it's something else. Somebody mentioned, who is it? Ian has just mentioned, and I must apologise. I forgot to mention this. Graham Edge, the drummer from the Moody Blues, passed away yesterday. I think he was 80. And yeah, they did play the Apollo. How many times, I don't know. Don't know off the top of my head, and I haven't had time to look at the website. But they're a good band, the Moody Blues. I always particularly liked the singer. I thought he was amazing. The singer, he still is actually.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable singer. But yeah, it was very sad to hear that he gone. But he always had a big smile on his face, that guy. Every picture, if you look on the internets, every picture you see of him, he's got a huge smile on his face. So I think he was a happy man. So thanks for reminding us of that, Ian. I'm sorry, I forgot. That was my fault. I forgot to mention it. I read it yesterday and I thought, oh, must mention it, and it out my head. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. It was great to hear Freddie and the boys blasting out like that. So let's do the best bit of the show.
How many this week?
None. No.
Come on.
I'm going to tell my own story tonight because
All right.
on Monday it's 40 years. Can't get my head around that. On Monday it's 40 years since I went to my first gig ever.
How's that possible?
I don't know, mate. Don't know.
Are we like 15 or something?
I know. Oh, Jesus. And the first gig I was ever at was Judas Priest in November 1981, and supported by the German Nutters Accept. And for me, it was one of those moments that, although I can't get my head around it, Andy, that it was 40 years ago. I can't get my head around it. The first thing I would say about it is I don't know how I got out of the house, because I was I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I managed it. My dad.
You said you were going to the BBs.
And actually, I remember trying to tell my dad one night when we were going to the Heathery Bar, and I told my dad a lie. I wish I hadn't, and he sussed it out in about 4 seconds. And it was like, and I'm a rubbish liar, so it was like, oh dear. Anyway, I remember this.
How old were you then?
What, for the Heathery?
Yeah,
must have been 16, I think.
Well, if you were 16, I was 15.
You were 15. But you were a rogue. And I
just like to get out of the house, mate. That's it.
Aye, well. Anyway, were you at that Judas Priest gig? I don't know if you were. I can't remember. No. I went with. Do you remember that? Steely. Do you remember Ian Steele?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I met Steely last year when I was in Scotland. We did. We were.
I was there. We walked past them. That's right. Yeah. And so I can't remember how I got to Glasgow. I've been racking my mind, and because there was only 2 or 3 of us there, I think Kenny Harvey was there as well. I think one of the dads probably gave us a lift in, but we're on in the circle, and I got my ticket out somewhere. Is it? What have I done with it? No, it's not there. It doesn't matter. But so I think we were in row G. I did look it out. I know I've got it somewhere, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And I remember sitting there, and I was terrified because I was only 14 or 15. I really didn't know Glasgow very well. I only went with you and the guys to Glasgow, basically when we'd go to the record shops, wouldn't we? And then we'd go home, so that was it. We didn't do much in Glasgow. And here I was in this.
We got a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This,
that was it.
HM was HMV as well, and then that wee cheap shop down the bottom of Stocky Hall Street. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But I remember going in there, and obviously sober, and we're sitting there, and I had never, ever, ever heard an Accept song or a Judas Priest song. No idea. And I only went because of peer pressure. I think somebody had said, "Oh, you need to start going to gigs," and I was a wimp, and I think I just thought, "Oh, okay." So I went to this gig, and on came Accept, and they had like I'll never forget it because I mean they are not a band I listen to, but I remember them coming on covered like leather and spandex and long. I remember it as white hair or silver hair, and they started to play this absolute racket, and they're as subtle as a bucket of chips, chucked over. They're just not subtle at all, and
Yeah.
I was mesmerised by the guitar sound. I remember the guitar sound and thinking, this is amazing. How are Judas Priest going to beat this? Jesus Christ. And of course, I had no idea. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, my God, that was stunning. I think I've just seen the greatest band I'm ever going to see in my life.
Yeah.
And then there was a little intermission as usual. And then I remember that. I can't remember the song, but it was probably something like Doctor Doctor or something played. And the whole place started to get up. And there's all these big guys, all the big boys, And I'm like that, they're all standing up in the stalls, and I'm peering over because I was up in the circle. And anyway, the lights went down. Boof! On came Judas Priest. I mean, one of the philosopher guys I like calls it a mindgasm. I think I had a mindgasm because it was just totally sonically blew my frigging head off, and I loved it. The bits I remember, because I mean it's a long time ago now, but I remember the two guitar players standing at one side of the stage together. Kiki Downing and the other guy, I've forgotten his name, and unbelievable how they were. It was almost like watching I mean, this is how young I was. It was like it was precision. That it all looked like it was all choreographed. It probably was.
Yeah, it probably was
choreographed, but then Rob started to sing, and funny enough, you mentioned it earlier when they did Green Men Alicia. And I didn't know it was the Fleetwood Mac song. I had no idea, right? When they did Green Men Alicia, that was it.
And neither did I for a long time.
Did you not? Oh, right. Okay.
No, I was like, well, how would you know if you didn't know Fleetwood
Mac? Oh,
Mac?
no, exactly. Well, exactly.
And you're just listening to Judas Priest going,
listen to that.
You go, oh, I like that Judas Priest song, Green Man Alicia, and some old bloke who's 18 was like, shut it, mate. That's a Fleetwood Mac song.
Yeah. But and then the other thing,
did rumours.
Another thing that was
to know.
Well, exactly. The other, and I mean, it wasn't on telly, was it? You couldn't tune into, classic rock and listen to, But then the other thing I remember was there was this loud roaring noise and a smell of petrol come up from the stage, and on comes Rob on his massive motorbike. Now I know they still do that, but for a 15-year-old kid for a backwater like Carluke, seeing this absolute, I mean, I wouldn't have said this back then, but this metal god, coming on the stage with this proper motorbike giving out the fumes. There would no way get away with that nowadays. And I was like, my God! But then the constant, the noise of the guitars, the thing I'll never forget. I mean, his voice was soaring and incredibly brutal and powerful. But it was the sound of the guitars, it was the sonic experience rather than the visual. But I do remember when there was quite a big light show, and it was just amazing. It was amazing, and it was only I think about 3 weeks later that we all went to see Iron Maiden. So It wasn't a bad start, because I think the previous tour Maiden had supported Priest. But then they'd come up and they got the Number of the Beast album and bang on they went. And but it was such a brilliant gig. And I remember coming out, and we did what everybody does. We went into Mr. Chips, had some chips, and we walked down the road. I think it was me, Ian, and Graham. And we walked down the road to Central Station, I think, and got the train back. And I reckon I must have talked about it for about a month. I'm sure there was people going, watch out, Scott's coming round the corner. He's going to talk about frigging Judas Priest again, And I got it that day. That was the day that it did. I mean, I know Boots would say, Harry Chesters, and he's right. I mean, Judas Priest are Judas Priest, but they do have some wonderful tracks and some beautiful music as well as loud music. A lot of folk don't appreciate that. There's some lovely Judas Priest songs as well as the powerful stuff. But I always love them for that. I've never been to see them again. because I think I
No.
grew out of them quite quick. No, because I just didn't. I liked the sort of British Steel and that stuff, but when they went to like Painkiller and the really loud stuff, it's
Yeah.
beyond my
Did
wit.
you go with? Did you go with Noddy?
I can't remember, mate.
Because
I don't.
he actually goes on about well, it doesn't go on about it, but when I spoke to him about it, that's our friend Norman.
Yeah.
He does remember this gig, and he goes when he came on, he was like Rob Halford comes on, and he's screeching like a banshee.
Unbelievable
He
voice.
does say he remembers that gig. So maybe he went and nod.
Maybe I did. It's quite because him and I were playing badminton together at the time, so it's quite likely actually. But there was other bits where I remember. I mean, I'd never seen any. This is why it's quite cool. And when I say to my son, who's 23 now, and into music and a brilliant guitar player.
How old is he? 23.
23, mate. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Oh, how was it 40 years we went to this gig? Anyway, and but I remember the drums and the drums. There was a drum solo. I only really rate, Neil Peart and maybe Cozy Powell drum solos. I can't be doing many others. But I remember the drum solo, and I was getting bloody goosebumps because I'd never heard it before.
I know.
And I've said that to my son Rory. I've said that'll never happen to you because you couldn't get the music back then. You couldn't get it because it was never on Top of the Pops. That was just crap. You might get it on one of the late night shows. I don't think the Tube had started by that point. If it had, it was just starting. And you maybe had the occasional, what was his name, that American program where the DJ. I continually forget the name of that show, and they would show clips of the big acts in America. So the only time you'd ever see ZZ Top or Kiss was on there, but you'd never get them in the UK unless it was on Tommy Vance or the wonderful our own Tom Russell. But I'll never forget it because of that. There's so many things happened that night in terms. It was a great experience. The Apollo was mental. It was loud. It was all the rest of it, and all the things we talk about in the Facebook group. But I think the main thing was how the music hit me, and it literally did because it was when they're a heavy metal band. They're loud, but they are so. KK is an amazing guitar player, and the way they played in unison, the twin guitars, like what we saw with Lizzie and other bands later on. Perfect. They're absolutely brilliant at it, and I don't think there's any bands ever done better than them at the sort of the heavier end of it. They're not as melodic as Lizzie, obviously, but Glenn Tipton, that was the other guy, and it was utterly brilliant. And we went home, and of course the funniest thing, I guess, and I'll finish on this, was that Jonathan King. Yes, thanks very much. It was Jonathan King's show late at night, but I went home, and I've said before. Remember, my dad was a sort of pretend Elvis fan. And my mum was a sort of ex-Cliff Richard fan. That was it in my house. So to go in there and talk about, Rob Halford singing Green Men Alicia, screaming on a motorbike, and two guys, Kiki Downing and Glenn Tipton, giving it loudy, on the guitar. They were like, what the they had no idea because they were only, they'd be 35 at the time, so they were in their mid-30s, and they had obviously
been... it, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. But they had no real taste in music because they grew up in Campbelltown and Glasgow.
How old's your dad now?
He's 75, 76 maybe.
He's younger than my dad.
I mean, he hasn't aged. I mean, he's the same age as he was back then. He's been 95 for the last 45 years, but
he's still 75, is he?
Aye, absolutely. And that was the year. I remember, and I will finish now because I could go on all night, but I'll finish now. But there was one other thing that I remember my dad that year. I think it was within a week or 2 weeks of that. We used to live in a council house in Carluke, and we never had any cash because he couldn't manage money, to be honest. But anyway, and I remember we were down. There's a place in Dumfriesshire called the Crack Water down near Sanker, and I've got family down there. And we were down there, and he had one golf club, and 8-iron. And me and my wee brother Les, who's 2 years younger than me, were walking with my dad, and he had a box of golf balls and this golf club. And he said, right, boys, see when I'm 50, I'm going to play golf every fucking day, right? That was his ambition. And to be honest, he achieved it. Anyway, so that was my story this week. I should have done that ages ago, and I'm sorry I haven't done it. But I've got loads more I'd love to tell you, and I know I write them quite often. But that was my first ever gig. So hope I didn't blow the pants off everybody. But
that was good, mate. That was very good.
Yeah.
A good insight to what you've become.
What a gay leather wearing biker. Yeah,
Everyone's got to
one out of
start
three.
somewhere, mate.
You
You've got to
you can
start
guess
somewhere.
which one. Here's now this might be who's this? Wishbone Ash were one of the first to do the 20. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Tipton and Downing, there was something about them. It I know, and I know I slag them off all the time. It was a bit like status quo. You know, when Co were Co, there was a sort of unwritten sort of there was a magic between the four of them. There was something that just in unison, and Tipton and Downing had that. There was something about it that I just thought was magical, absolutely magical, brilliant. Entertainment USA, yeah, boy, and that's the name of the show. Yeah, that is the name of the show.
Oh, totally forgot about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and with a pretty girl. So, guys, if I can do it, you can do it. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be trying to schedule some get-togethers with folk when we come up for the get-together on the 17th of December. You can tell your own story about your first gig. That's the easiest way to do. Just remember a specific gig and talk about it. Don't talk about anything else. And as you've seen some of the stories that the guys have done, the brilliant ones they've done, that's what they did, most of them. So, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's be hearing more of those, and I'll update you on that later on. So, what will we do next then? I reckon we should do this one.
Finish.
So this week, again, we've received a couple of pictures of bits and pieces, but I just wanted to update you on something that happened to me, actually. I've got a mate, and I think I've mentioned him, certainly on the Zoom calls. He lives in the same village as me. His name's Billy. And Billy was in a punk band in Glasgow back in the 70s. And I'm trying to get this on, I'm trying to get some pictures. He's not that technically competent, so he says. I don't believe him because he's always on his phone. But Billy's Apollo artifact, he's got two. One of them is an exit. One of them's an exit sign from the Apollo, right?
Wow.
From above the door. He got it from his sister. Now, he says he thinks he might have lost it, but we were out the other night having a drink, and he said, "I think I've found it." So we'll get that on. But the second one is utterly ridiculous, right? And it's a parrot.
Okay.
He's got a parrot, right? And this parrot was Joe Walsh's parrot from the Eagles.
You're talking nonsense.
Wait a minute. This gets better, right? And I said the same thing. Bullshit. Don't believe you. And he said, no, it is. It really is. And he told me along, and I'm trying to get him to tell the story on camera so I can show it, right? As well as the parrot. Anyway, they were at a gig, and it was something to do with girls, which I won't go into. And Billy ended up with a parrot, right? No,
Mate,
Billy didn't end up with the parrot.
I have here.
I've got that wrong. I've got it wrong. Billy heard about the parrot, right? Then about 20 years later, Joe Walsh gave the parrot to John Entwistle.
Right.
Right? Now, this is where I know this is true, because John Entwistle used to live 5 miles from here, right? And Billy was his roadie. He worked with him, right? And when John Entwistle died, his wife at the time, who's now also passed away, I think, Billy and him were very good friends, and they used to play pool together. And the night before he flew to America, when he actually died, Billy was playing pool with him in his house. And he was fine, And anyway, so when John Entwistle died, Billy got the parrot, and the parrot lives, still alive, and it lives 4 miles from where I'm sitting right now. So I'm trying to get that on video because that's
I don't know. Is that an Apollo memory?
Well, it kind of was, because he heard about it, and I know it's a bit tenuous. I mean, the exit sign's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
If the parrot had been on stage,
that would have been good. Yeah. But you see, if the Eagles had been, the parrot must have been taken to the UK because it's here. And if it was, Joe, the only Eagle worth listening to, Walsh,
right.
he must have brought it with him. So I'm totally BSing. Anyway, that's the story this week. So we'll find out.
Or maybe
It's
John
true.
Entwistle lived in America for
Maybe
a
he did.
while
I think he did actually. I think he did. But
and then
his
brought it back.
house, his big house, is still down the road here. So anyway, we've been on for an hour and a half nearly, mate. So I think we better shift this
Wow,
on towards the
battery's
end.
still working.
Your
Woo!
battery is still working. That is quite remarkable. So,
29%.
just a few things to end with before we finish. An absolutely brilliant piece of music that I was so happy about when I found it. I only found it today. I didn't know it was there. It's only been on the YouTubes for a month, so I would suspect most of you don't know it's there, which is terrific. But just to remind everybody, we're coming together in Glasgow at Lauder's Bar on the 17th of December. We haven't sold any tickets this week, so we've still only sold 60 odd tickets. So there's about 16, 17 tickets left. It'd be great if you could come along. It'd be absolutely brilliant. All the money that we make from that will be put back into the show to pay for software and everything else that we currently pay for ourselves just now.
Can I also mention that
Yeah.
if the viewer fancies buying a T-shirt, I think the T-shirts are on sale now today.
Yeah.
I think, and they are a tenner, but when you get postage, it finishes up about £16. So that's just today only. I think it might be in a few. And there's 4 T-shirts now. There's a blue one, a yellow one. But the writing's blue, whatever. Go and have a look. Glasgow Polo /merch. If you fancy one, it'd be great. And I think the ordering process is pretty easy.
It's not bad now. Yeah, it's not bad.
And it's £10, I think. So that's all right, I think.
And I just wanted to, adding to that, I want to say thank you to the people last week who bought us a beer. I think 2 or 3 people bought us a beer last week, mate.
Thank you.
Which is really nice. So thank you very much. Again, it really helps. It's all about continuing this to keep this going because of the software is expensive. So we really do appreciate it. If you'd like to join us after the show with all the other Zoomers, a great group of people. We have a great good chat. Not just about music, but everything else. I think we've solved the world's problems on the Zoom calls. But it would
many
be
times over.
It would be fantastic to see you there. Ian's just, Ian, you're swearing at me again. Ian, the Eagles are playing Murrayfield in June next year, so maybe you could arrange an emotional reunion with Joe Walsh and the Parrot. Yeah, but I wouldn't go anywhere near the Eagles. I mean, honestly, I would rather listen to Chris de Burr than the Eagles again. I mean, Raymond and I don't agree on this because Raymond was at the gig, but the worst gig I've ever been at was the Eagles at Murrayfield about 1 million years ago. It was bloody awful. Apart from Joe Walsh, who was absolutely amazing. But, oh dear, what a terrible, terrible show. Anyway.
What was that song you had? They say I'm crazy, but I'm...
Well, there's Rocky Mountain Way was the one that he's best known for. But, he stuck out like a sore thumb at that gig. It was like pensioner rock. It should have been in a pub, you know. Esperado. And they couldn't give him monkeys, you know. It was terrible. And then he came on and did like 3 or 4 songs. Utterly brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway. So, to tonight's music, I think we've done everything we have to do PR-wise, mate. This is a band that I think everybody likes them. This is Slade. And for ages, folk have been talking about Slade gigs at the Apollo and how good they were, and particularly how good Noddy was. And there's a Slade gig has appeared on YouTube. I'm not sure if the wonderful people over at Rescue Recordings have got it, because this was Jimmy... I forgot his second name, but Jimmy someday. He posts gigs. Jimmy Smith. And sorry, I put the wrong picture up. But so if you haven't gone over to Rescue Recordings, they've got a couple of thousand people now in their Facebook group. But Jack, Stephen, and Phil are absolutely brilliant. And most of the shows we play on here are from there. But this one actually came off of YouTube because I just found it about 2 hours ago. And this is the show from 1982. I think this was their comeback, wasn't it? When they sort of disappeared a wee bit in the late 70s and they came back in the 80s and had quite a successful period at the end.
Just Runaway? Runaway?
That's right.
Time? Yeah.
And they did Donington and were absolutely brilliant there, you know, a great band. So this is Noddy and the boys on the Apollo stage. And as I quite often do, Andy, I pick the first song because quite often the way the bands come on is something that helps you remember that night if you were there. So this is Slade at the Glasgow Apollo in 1982.
receive. May the Lord help you. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! I've seen the light. I've seen the light. Glory, hallelujah, honey, I'm on fire. Thank you very much. Good to be back in Glasgow again.
How about
That
that?
sounds great.
Isn't that
Sounds
brilliant?
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole gig's brilliant, and
Ah.
I just thought when I saw it this morning, I was like, "Whoa!" And my God, can he sing? But
Is it
absolutely,
singing? Is
eh,
it singing? Is it singing or is it
well,
shouting in tune?
I think it's shouted in tune, but my God, he's
It's
good at
great.
shouting in
He's a
tune.
great.
Brilliant.
He's such a. I think I've said this before.
Yeah.
One time I was doing. We were gonna. I was in a cover band and we were gonna do some song. Come on, feel the noise. That was it. Come on, feel the
Great
noise,
song.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
starts off. It's drums and singing, right? And it's dead high, right?
Yes.
So I think I've said this before. So I just come in and no reference, no or anything, and I just said, yeah, I was just singing "Come on, feel the noise, girls," and then the
Yeah.
keyboard player, who's as keyboard players are well known to be, they're very pedantic about their note choices,
Yes.
and they're usually the musical director in a band. He said,
Yeah.
I don't think you're singing that in the right note. I was like, sorry, mate, I don't have perfect pitch, and you haven't given me a note to reference it from. And anyway,
Yeah.
I can't sing that high, so
Yeah.
trust me. Yeah, no, he is a good singer.
He's a great
He's a
singer.
really good singer. Yeah.
And the consequence of finding that this morning, I went as a wee add-on that one of the, I think you could even argue the best ever music film is
Oh, yeah.
Slade in Flame. It is a brilliant film, and
Have you
it
got it?
it's on YouTube, mate. It's on the YouTubes.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, I've got the link. Hang on, I'll show you. I'll share it in the chat. And it's only a TV version, so it's not full screen or anything, but it's good enough to watch.
Okay.
Like, you know.
Cool.
But absolutely great. In Flame. If you've never seen it, I won't tell you what it's about. But it's not what you. If you've never seen it, it's not what you expect. It's not one of these cheesy band films. It's a brilliant film. And the drummer features quite seriously in the film. That's all I'll say. But it's a terrific movie. It's a really terrific movie. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. That was an hour and a half again this week. I think Andy did well to keep that under 3 hours.
I'm just gonna. Can I say hello to
my
mate Deirdre in Ireland? I think she's watching. I'm not sure if she is.
Fab.
But, hello, Deirdre.
Hello, Deirdre. Nice to meet you virtually, digitally. But so if you want to join us over on Zoom, the address to do that is on screen just now. It's all over the chat. It's at the top of the Facebook group. Now, I also saw somebody earlier saying that they're no longer getting notifications about when we go live. I don't know why. That there has been some problems between Facebook and Restream, so I'm sorry about that. I will ask Restream about it. I don't think I can do much about the Facebook side, but if I can do anything from the Restream side, I'll get it done. But I can't promise anything, so I'm really sorry about that. But every week, 9:30 on the dot, we go live. That is our drum beat. And then 12 o'clock every Sunday, we have a replay. So you've got your main show tonight and a Friday at 9:30, and then every Sunday at noon, we do a replay. They're the main things. There's another few things we're thinking about doing that Andy doesn't know about yet, but there might be some other things happening.
We're thinking about it.
Yeah, we are. I'm talking the
I
royal
don't
we.
know about it.
But at the moment, we've not talked about it, so I better not say what I'm thinking. But there's a few other things up the sleeve here that I think Andy and I might be thinking about. Zoom link, and I've put it in the Zoom. I'll put it in again. Look, I'm going to do it. Andy, have you got the Zoom link handy? Hang on. Actually,
No.
I have. I've got it here. Hold on. There's definitely issues with compatibility across the platforms. It's a real pain. I'm sorry, guys. Right, here's the Zoom link in the chat again. Yeah, the royal we. You're quite right, man. And I'll put it. That's it in the chat, and that's on the screen. That's the Zoom link. If you cannot find it and you're on Facebook's, DM me and I will send you it. Now, James McAvity is already on it because I get a notification when people go onto it. So he's already waiting. So if anyone who's scared of, if you've never been on it before, don't tell him what your location is, right? Because he'll stalk you. Right. So my name is Scott MacArthur, and you've been watching and listening to Glasgow Apollo Live.
And my name is Andy Muir, and I have 15% battery. We did it.
And thanks for the feedback. Cracking show, guys.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Cheryl. We'll hopefully see you in the Zoom. There's a few bit of catching up to do, I suspect. So, all right. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
All right. See you later.